thing about men who get sent away to war is that some of them don't come back at all.
There's so many of us. They'll never get us all out.
Mrs. Cole? Kurt? Where is she?
Could someone please get Mr. Hilliard out of Dunkirk?
Welcome to the Ministry of Information Film Division.
Mr. Churchill is persuaded that film can show that this is a war America should be fighting.
If we're to capture the public imagination and their trust, we need a story to inspire a nation.
Dunkirk, the evacuation of troops trapped by the German advance.
It's very good.
I just wonder if it mightn't pack a little more punch.
Dunkirk, the miracle that put the fire back in all our bellies. We know how it starts. Twin sisters took their father's boat over to join the rescue. We know how it ends.
338,000.
Home safe. Now all we have to do is fill in the gaps. Mrs. Cole will need someone to write the slop.
Slop?
Girl talk. Women's dialogue.
I thought it was a secretarial post.
Well, for God's sake, keep that to yourself.
Uncle Frank, a shipwreck of a man. 60s. Looks older.
We all have a part to play in defeating Hitler.
Not this part. It's a corpse roll. He's dead before the end of Act 3.
Too long. Lose half.
Which half?
The half you don't need. People like films because stories are structure. When things turn bad, it's still part of a plan. There's a point to it.
All those people gave their sons to one war, and now their grandsons to another.
We'll have them weeping in the aisles.
Mrs. Cole, I thought you was under it.
Just can't do this anymore.
The work's good. None of them could have done any better.
You and me, given opportunities only because young men are gone. But to turn our back on those opportunities, wouldn't that be giving death dominion over life?
If all of this stopped, I'd miss it. I'd miss you.
Do you really have to smoke that thing, don't you? I mean, couldn't you just mime?
I can mime smoking. I can't mime smoke.
So I wanted to start off by asking you what really interested you in your part in the film and how you became involved as well.
So I became involved because I'd worked with Stephen Woolley, the producer, a few times, and he sent me the script, said, we want you to do this. Lone, I'd met a few times and wanted to work with her. We almost had worked together a few times. And then I read the script and loved the character of Katrin. As I loved the script in general. I thought it was really, really well written, very witty and fast and moving and dense and full of everything. But their character really, it was for me a new type of character to play because she's more of an introvert, and even though she has this kind of real strength inside her, she's not necessarily a kind of a strong woman. She's quite shy and quite gentle. But yeah, it was just, and also the cast, there were some of the actors were already attached, like Sam Claflin and Bill Nighy. And I'd not worked in a film that felt so British for years. So it was nice to shoot in Britain and be surrounded by such an array of fantastic actors and creative people, yeah.
I saw the film last night and I thought it was interesting how your character is really like the protagonist in the film, and since this is a war film, and how it really focuses on her journey as opposed to like maybe like the men who are fighting on the front line. So was that something that you really enjoyed, like showing her like becoming like this really strong like protagonist throughout the film, and like this era especially? Absolutely.
I think I love that. So I've got this sort of agenda, which is that women in film don't always have to be strong. They can be everything. And I think that Katrin starts off as someone that is very she doesn't really understand that she could do this job. And that's what was happening during the war. Women were thrust into work, and they didn't even realise that they could be mechanics, or that they might even be good at it, or they might be a good writer, or they might be a good bus driver or really good at operating machinery. So all of a sudden, women were in these positions and learning about themselves on the spot. And it was very, very quick. And that's what happens to Katrin in this movie. She's sort of starts off as a wife and a doting wife, and by the end she's a screenwriter. And it's very gently done, very subtly done, and she has to go through some pretty tough experiences in order to get there. But and what we usually focus on with wartime movies is the war itself, but actually there was so much going on, the effects of war on the home front. It was very interesting what was going on in the UK for women, and also for films, propaganda filmmaking, and what was going on there is very interesting. So it was great that this book existed. Lissa Evans, who wrote it, was fascinated by that period. So, yeah.
And speaking of the book, and was that helpful? Like in general, do you really enjoy having source material and having information to really look on to inform your characters?
I think so. I mean, I've not played many women from novels, but I always find it very, very helpful. It's someone has written a lot of work, a lot of material for you to draw from, and I actually found it quite intimidating at first, Lissa being on set, because Katrin is kind of her really, and yeah, and you want to do it justice, and it's her baby. It was her first novel as well, so but it's a gift to have. But then you also have to draw really what you're speaking the lines of the script, and Gabby, who wrote the script, is different to Lissa, so you have so much to draw from. But it's always a luxury to be sort of have. I've done a couple of graphic novels as well, where literally the expressions are given to you shot by shot. It's like a storyboard, but you kind of then interpret it in the way you want to.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. It was great meeting you.
And you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted to first ask you about becoming involved in the film. What really interested you of your character in the film overall, and how you became involved?
Well, I love the part. I loved the script. It was a great script. I like it because it was funny, and I like it because it was romantic, and it's about a period which is very nostalgically remembered in my country by several generations, including my own. And it's just a really knockout script. My part is very good because I get to play two different people, as it were. I get to play Ambrose Hilliard, the pompous actor, and I get to play the drunken Uncle Frank. So it was recognizable as a knockout part. And everything about it, and the fact that it was directed by Lone Scherfig, who I admire very much.
And speaking of working with her as a director, I wanted to ask you about that experience and really collaborating and figuring out the storyline and the character while you were filming.
Yeah, Lone Scherfig is a terrific filmmaker, and I was a great admirer of hers. She can really tell the story, and she helped me enormously scheduling the information and scheduling the character kind of thing. She also laughed at my jokes, which is my idea, basically, of a good director. And she would offer me, each day, she would give me big presents of ideas about how to make it funnier or how to make it more interesting. She really did help. She's cleverer than I am, which is always a good thing.
And in the film, I found it interesting, your relationship with Gemma's character, and what was that process like as well, of really figuring out your character's relationships on screen as well?
Well, it was very nice. It was very cool to work with Gemma. I admire her very much, and we had a very good time. There was a scene at the end, our last scene together, which was actually added on once the film had been edited, and I think that was very useful for our relationship in the movie, because it gave it a kind of a resolve. It dovetails nicely, and you see something that you haven't quite seen before in both characters. But it was, we start off at war, and we end up, well, I won't say too much in case you see the movie, but, it changes, and it's a satisfying change.
And she seems to really, influence your character in a positive way, so was that something that you really felt was beneficial in the story, your character really undergoing this transformation overall as well? Yeah,
because she was handed a difficult job. She had a man who was in almost perfect denial about how old he was, still thought he should be playing romantic roles. She had this drunken Uncle Frank part for him. He was not happy. He's quite sort of eminent. She's nobody, as it were, at the beginning of the film. And so she had to negotiate a pretty delicate arrangement with him, and she did it, and she does it brilliantly, and she does, in the end, he will follow her anywhere.
And what do you find so interesting as an actor about this time period of World War II and everything that's happening in London and England overall in Europe? And is that something that you really are interested in exploring, like that war period on film?
Yeah, I was born just after the war. Everyone in England, or certainly 2 or 3 generations, including mine, have a deep nostalgia for that period. Basically, people who weren't there, because if you were there, you know that it was a brutal, horrible time when you never knew who was going to be left alive. I think it's also, I admire the script and the film, and I think it's timely now because it shows how, under real dangerous conditions, people can combine with courage and compassion and concentrate more on what unifies them than on that which divides them. And I think that's a pretty cool suggestion for the present times.
And speaking of that, I was going to also ask you about that, and the film within the film is really like kind of more like a propaganda story overall, and to really generate morale among the English people overall. And was that something that you felt was really compelling in having like this, like raising morale and telling this like really feel-good story overall as well? Yeah,
they were very, very important films, and they made a lot of them, and they made them under terrifically difficult circumstances, and they didn't have TV, they only had the radio, and the biggest event was the movies, and it brought people together. They collectively watched things that raised their hopes and kept their spirits up during one of the most terrible times in our country's history.
Okay, thank you very much. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.